ready to go here from Omaha. Ole Miss looking for their first ever tournament win, and Florida State in their 26th tournament, 15 in the last 16 seasons. A testament to consistency and the job that Chris Poole and company have done in Tallahassee. First to serve for the Seminoles, Kenna Phelan, sophomore from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Her mother played for her head coach at Arkansas, and we're underway, first round of the NCAA tournament. Near side, Ammerman gets the first kill. Ole Miss off to a good start offensively. They lead it 1-0 here early on.
I like the idea of finding Ammerman early, really trying to spread it out is going to be something that is going to be a key for the Rebels.
She's the most experienced when it comes to the NCAA tournament, played in 4 tournament games before she transferred. She transferred from Pepperdine. Neeson serves it up, good serve. From the far side, Koenig answers back with a kill of her own.
Just the size and physicality of both teams here today, just seeing the display of that physicality, being able to run your middles, being able to be fast on the tempo. Will be exciting to see how this shakes out.
49 aces this season for Koenig, and almost got 50 right there. Seminoles reset the offense right to the middle. There she is, Corey Lewis, the Tallahassee native. First team All-ACC, puts it down.
Talk about physicality. Lewis touches 10-8, and we're seeing all of that right here in that route.
2-1 Seminoles early on. Another good serve from Koenig. Bufono sets it out wide, and there's Nia Washington getting in on the act.
Not only is Nia going to go in there and just rip on a seam, but what I love about her is she's also going to be really effective with tooling that block.
Here's Emma Ammerman, the grad student out of Parker, Colorado. Near side, big swing, it's overpassed. Reset for Florida State. Taylor Head comes off the block. Back row attack, Ole Miss. That was Shayla Meyer, the Nebraska native. And the roll shot from Taylor Head. Grad student gets it done.
And keep an eye on Taylor Head throughout today's matchup, as she has so much range in the way she plays. A beach player here at Florida State, coming from Arkansas, has so much experience, and just she's a crafty one.
3-2 Florida State, first set. Bufono joust at the net, she won it. She got it to go by Corey Lewis, and we're tied at 3.
Setters are never to be denied at the net. They're just always so good about their timing and their reading. Really well done.
Bufono very strong. Washington the serve, and she's got an ace. Nia Washington, who was 10th in the SEC in kills per set, an SEC first teamer, and she gives her team the lead at 4-3. Touch the tape. This is the set from Phelan. And a good swing. Good set, good finish.
Good swing there from Henke, really working the outside edges of that Ole Miss defense.
Henke's another transfer, comes from D2 Cal State Los Angeles. She played for a national title last season. Robertson the serve. To the middle, got it.
I really like the way that Sasha Ratliff plays. Senior middle blocker from Atlanta, Georgia. Just has a lot of physicality, 6'2". But what I really like about her is she has a lot of range. She's able to work that thumb up shot, that thumb down shot. So whether she has one blocker on her or 2, just does a really good job of having her vision to see around the block.
Summer Daniel, Ole Miss leading 5-4. Near side, good swing, found a gap. Eileen Filimawa.
Filimawa just flying high. Good pace, good tempo there from the Seminoles. Gets that seam to open up there slightly and just threads the needle.
Versatile player, Filimawa. She's also started 10 at libero this season. Far side, good swing, Shayla Meyer. She's got a cheering section from Superior, Nebraska. About 3 hours drive away from Omaha.
Shayla does a really nice job. Much like Washington, you're going to see both athletes as 6-rotation athletes, which means they will play in the front row and the back row. So not only will they offensively get involved in the front row, but don't be surprised if they use Washington out of the back row as well.
Blocked, re-rack for Florida State. Rolled over. Tufono to the far side. Meyer was blocked and kept up, and Ole Miss makes it work somehow. Good scramble point for the Rebels.
Really good heads-up play there by Bergach, finding a way defensively in long rallies to stay alive, but not only to stay alive, but if you can find a way to score in defensive transition, that's huge.
Tufono, a UCLA transfer, spent 2 seasons with the Bruins. Near side, Koenig got it.
Just a beautiful backswing there. Approaches hard like she's going in cross court, and then just has this beautiful arm swing that you see that just goes right cross body.
Overpassed and out of bounds. Filimawa with a good serve, tied at 7.
Really good flat and clean, or what we call flean serve, where that ball has very little movement and that bottom will just drop out quickly.
Targeting Washington on the serve. Meyer looking for the back line. It was long. Point Florida State. They regained the lead at 8-7. Just missed it. Tufono to the far side. Good swing out there.
And that's a really good choice to run on serve receive. If you are running that 3-go, which your middle is not directly in front of the setter, they're just a little bit closer, running a quicker route right in front of that outside. It's hard to track if you are those blockers where you're going to catch those seams to open up.
Meyer serve. Roberts in the set, near side. And Taylor Head finishes it off. Back and forth we go. Florida State back in front.
Both setters for Florida State, with them being in a 6-2, they're both doing a really nice job of keeping the set tempo consistent, which is so important as a setter if you can have that same consistency in that same location. And when you have 2 of them that are doing it at a high clip, that is something that is a really hard team to defend.
Hammerman on the near side, couldn't get it to go. Lewis is blocked. Point Ole Miss, 9-9.
And that's going to be something if you're Lewis. I mean, you're coming in and everybody knows who you are. So sometimes you get middles that might get that one-on-one opportunity. But in that scouting report, Ole Miss is ready for her.
Cami Neeson. Back set. Koenig couldn't get it to go. Tipped over, kept up by Lewis. Attacked right back the other way. Ratliff was trying to push it to the corner, but just missed it.
Yeah, a really good idea to try to take it on her own. But again, we're seeing Ole Miss running that 3-go route with their middle and their outside, and they're really trying to overload that side of the block for Florida State. And so far, they're doing a good job of keeping them on their heels.
Koenig serve off the hands of Meyer. It's an ace, and that's her 50th of the season.
She kind of has a hybrid serve. Sometimes she'll come in there with the float. Sometimes she'll rock that top spin, and just does a really nice job there of attacking those shoulders.
Long that time from Koenig, gives it right back. Rebels back to within 1 at 11-10. Had a feeling when we saw this matchup that this had the potential to be really tight between these 2 teams.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are playing very similar competition between the SEC and the ACC. You have the physicality, you got some heavyweights in there. So this isn't anything that either team hasn't come prepared to do.
That was one of the things that Chris Poole told us. Playing in the ACC prepares you for this level. He said that we will not see anyone in the NCAA tournament that we have not prepared to play at that level. Sent away by Head. And on the slide, good play there for Sasha Ratliff.
Yeah, I'd like to see Ole Miss continue to find those middles in transition, especially if you are able to be in that 5-1 system, which Ole Miss is. They have the ability to run your middles behind, which, I mean, if you can run a slide at a high clip, that is something that is really effective for your offense.
Here's the set from Phelan. Got it.
Just a little bit of a higher 7 almost. I think they were probably wanting to run it a little bit quicker, but she's got that hang time where even if she's on her way down, she's still able to work it over the block and in.
So Lauren Robertson, excuse me, 16 aces on the season, leading the team with better than 600 assists in that two-setter system. Back row swing, Nia Washington. Oh, that was a laser.
Coming in like a freight train, Nia Washington was. Really good tempo there from Tufono. Getting that one-on-one matchup. She sees that 5-6 seam. She rips it.
13-12, Florida State in front. Tipped at the net. Good finish. Kelsey Perry, the redshirt sophomore, into the match, makes an impact.
And a really good save there by Lauren Robertson, as with Florida State being in a 6-2, that setter is in the back row. So any of those tight balls, they have to be able to keep those on their side. So kind of an undisciplined move there from Ole Miss to jump with her, because you have to know that those setters aren't able to take that ball.
And Dupes has an ace. Emery Dupes gives FSU the largest lead for either team here in the first set at 15-12. Media timeout here in Omaha. Just a 3-point game here in the first between Florida State and Ole Miss.
Fair going on with Florida State. So Kenna Phelan, her mom Jessica actually played with Coach Poole, for Coach Poole at Arkansas. Jessica was Coach's first ever All-American in 1997. And then her daughter Kenna attended an FSU camp just 11 years ago when she was young and knew she wanted to also play for Coach Poole. Fast forward to today, and the Phelans are the only mother-daughter duo Poole's coach in his 40-plus year career.
Thank you very much, Anna. Cool story. His mother, the first All-American that Chris Poole ever coached. How about that?
Very cool story.
Ole Miss with the point out of the media timeout, makes it 15-13. Back row, Florida State blocked. Head couldn't get it across, and Koenig will have to roll one over. Tufono to the middle. Bergach couldn't find the floor. Koenig shooting for that back corner. It's long. And Ole Miss right back within one at 15-14. The way Florida State was rolling, Shannon, I don't think they would have liked to take the media time out there. They were starting to find a little bit of flow before the break.
I agree, John.
Mokihana Tufono, the Hawaiian native. Roll shot. Kept up. Near side, Ammerman. Was there a touch? They say no. Ammerman was looking for it, but not much protest on the Ole Miss side.
I do like how Ole Miss is trying to spread the ball around. Typically, they would like to find their outsides a lot in both Shayla Myers and Washington, but I think that they're doing a really good job of getting everybody involved, because if you're trying to get a win here in that first round, you can't do it with one or two players. You really want to try to spread that around. So while they're just missing, I do feel that they are doing a good job of spreading the ball around.
Bree Henry calls timeout for Ole Miss. She sees her team slip back to a 3-point deficit. Henry in her second full season, third season at the helm for Ole Miss. She was an assistant at Santa Clara, was also a grad assistant at Nebraska when the Cornhuskers won a national title, and played her collegiate volleyball at Long Beach State.
Another coach who just really prides herself in the culture that they're building there at Ole Miss. Has some veterans along the way to really see that through with the coaching changes, and just really, hanging in to the mission of what it is to be at Ole Miss, and really holding tight about is the volleyball IQ. And if you're going to miss, at least you're missing by sticking to the game plan, which is that volleyball IQ of, staying in tune to what matchups that you're looking for, staying in tune to what it is offensively that you're trying to run. And so it's just really trying to stay efficient in finishing and executing. And that's exactly what they did right there. They've been trying to go for that 3-go, which is going to open up an opportunity for the one-on-one seam for your right side. So if you can continue to move those blockers around for Florida State, you're going to get those matchups that you want. So I think it's just making sure that you stick to the plan and stay efficient.
Shayla Meyer with a good serve. And it's blocked on the roll shot attempt by Head. And here comes Ole Miss again, back to within one.
So clearly, whatever they said in their timeout,
it worked.
Clearly worked, as we now have Florida State calling their first timeout.
Chris Poole wants to talk things over after this block. Ammerman and Burgach with a good setup. And I thought it was interesting when we were getting ready to do this match. Two of the best middles who have ever played volleyball at Ole Miss are on the roster at the same time in Burgach and Ratliff. They are 1-2 in the rally scoring era in career blocks. That is just, to have those two players on your roster at the same time is a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, and if you can have that, first off, if you can have really dynamic middles, not only one of them, but two of them, it is huge to be able to have offensively as well as defensively. And then to be able to have them as seniors and to have that leadership, you know, to be able to work through, you know, the challenges that they're going.
Up by Meyer, and a great save, good hustle by Neeson. Florida State will re-rack, near side, Head again. Made no doubt about that one.
Really good hustle play there from Ole Miss, but a better job by Florida State in keeping that tempo that I talked about. Both setters doing just a really good job of putting their hitters in a really good position to score.
And a feeling into the net.
Both teams doing a really good job of being aggressive behind the service line, and for that one to be, you know, only their second service error so far in the set one, it's not too bad.
Neeson sends it over. Right to Corey Lewis. And Lewis playing for her hometown school, got to train with Team USA in the offseason. She is a fast rising star in the world of volleyball.
Just a really pretty backswing that she has.
Quick set to the middle, Ratliff couldn't get it down. And reaching over the net, the call against Florida State gives the point to Ole Miss.
And that's a tough call there. And if I'm Florida State, I might be also wondering about that, as the momentum of the ball, I do think, broke the plane. So if that ball breaks the plane and your setter's in the back row, which Ole Miss was in that specific rotation, then it would be a back row attack. But they thought that she had the right to play that ball.
Out wide, Washington. Big swing off the block and got the point. We're tied at 19 here in set one.
Nia Washington is just fearless the way she approaches in. I mean, you just don't know if she's going to work an outside edge or if she's going to go high hands, but you see her flying in there, and she knows she's going to score, and she's going after it all speed ahead.
Ninth tie of this first set, 19-19, another timeout on the floor. You look at the hitting percentages, both teams extremely efficient so far. Ole Miss 409, Florida State 310. Neither team has missed very much. It's just been a question of who can get the best setup on the attack. And right now, there's nothing to separate the two.
And really what's separating the two is you're seeing Ole Miss have some, you know, like I talked about, some offensive parity that we didn't really see. You know, they played Texas, and a lot of the balls that they lost in that five-setter really were held down by their outside. So here so far in set one, it is pretty spread out between all of their attackers. But for Florida State, you have Taylor Head, who's already had 12 total attempts, leading the way with 5 kills. The next closest in total attempts is Corey Lewis and Audrey Koenig with 6.
Corey Lewis talking things over out of the timeout. If Florida State has an answer. Ole Miss still in their huddle. Rebels this season, when you look at their overall statistical numbers, they were not very high in the conference in most categories. 9th in hitting percentage, 8th in assists, 9th in kills. It was that opponent hitting percentage. They were 3rd best in the ACC in opponent hitting percentage. He just did not allow teams to be extremely efficient. Florida State has done pretty well in this first set so far. Hammerman, short serve, kept up, played across. Chance for Ole Miss to take the lead. Outside, Washington delivers.
That was a beautiful swing. Again, we talk about having the ability to have your setter in the front row, running that slide. Sasha Ratliff holds that block to her, which opens up that seam for Nia Washington to just tee off on.
First lead since it was 7-6 for Ole Miss, and answered right back, Corey Lewis.
That was a much better connection there from Kenna Phelan and Corey Lewis, as the tempo has been a little bit higher, and even though she can jump and she can touch 10-8, you still want to try to stay quick with her, and that's exactly what they did there.
Taylor had the serve. Kept up momentarily, but it's an ace for Taylor Head, her 18th of the season.
Now we're in that red zone, John, so really trying to see both teams staying aggressive, both behind the service line as well as offensively.
Washington again, this time blocked. Ratliff the tip. Cross-court cut shot, well done by Filimawa.
Well done by Florida State, staying with Washington on that first ball, and then seeing that set going back, getting really quality block setups that allows for that second touch to be able to set up for that beautiful swing to end that rally.
22-20 in this all-important first set. Florida State leading it. Outscored Ole Miss 3-1 since it was 19-19. Rebels have just never been able to take control. Florida State always tough, especially having so much postseason experience. 15th time in the last 16 seasons. The last tournament team for Ole Miss was in 21. They played right here in Omaha. Burgach, Ratliff, and Middleton all were on that team that came here and played in this arena.
And I do remember that. I do remember Ratliff really catching my eye as one that I like the way she plays, so even-keeled, explosive, calm. It's nice when you have a team that has such a blend of different personalities, whether you have your players that are a little bit more of your energy bus, your high energy, and really trying to motivate the crew, or you have those that are just leading by example, a little bit more even-keeled. And for me, when I'm watching Sasha Ratliff, that's the way she plays, very even-keeled, leads by example. So fun to see her back here in Omaha.
The Battle of the Middles is a fascinating one, as we will continue to watch throughout this match. Obviously, Corey Lewis tremendous in both for Ole Miss. Just off the tape, kept alive. Outside Washington, couldn't get the tip. And it's a freebie for Florida State, now within 2 of closing out the first set.
And Taylor Head just really doing a very great job of holding that Ole Miss offense and slowing them down, as really getting them out of system on that first contact.
Washington had to take something off it. Overhead, tipped across, pancake dig. And Washington rolls over. Phelan to the middle. Corey Lewis puts it away. Set point, Florida State.
Really, it's just who can get their setter on the net first. And like I talked about with Taylor Head, see that beautiful pancake, laying it all out. Beautiful swing there.
Ace to end the first. Taylor Head serves it out.
What a beautiful job there by Taylor Head. She just single-handedly changed that set around drastically when she got behind that service line.
6-1. Florida State outscores Ole Miss down the stretch. They take the first 25-20. Second set in Omaha coming your way here on ESPN+. Just the way the Seminoles would have wanted this one to start. They take the first set 25-20. And now it's on Ole Miss to try and respond here in the second, seeking their first ever NCAA tournament win as a program. The all-time series, Florida State leads it 9-3. The two have never met in the postseason, and it's their first meeting since all the way back in 1986.
It's two very balanced teams that are playing very similar volleyball. I mean, you have a 364 hitting percentage in Florida State and 321 for Ole Miss. Ole Miss has 11 digs to Florida State's 9. So, you know, you're seeing a lot of similarities. It just really came down to that red zone where Florida State and Taylor Head were really able to defend Ole Miss's offense and slow them down. It was really hard for Ole Miss in that back end of that set to do anything to get on the net for any big swings. It was really Florida State who was able to do that.
One of the key stats for Ole Miss was service aces. They are 16-3 on the season. When they are the team who produces more aces, they are behind in that category 5-1 after the first set. See if Nia Washington can change that. Underway in the second. Good serve, and she does. Right on command, Nia Washington with the ace.
It's like you almost predicted it.
I would have thought that that's what Bree Henry would be talking about in the huddles, their need to get some serving pressure. A good one from Washington. Koenig, off speed to Fono. Back row Washington this time. Comes out wide, Koenig. She's blocked. Meyer and Ratliff combining for the stuff.
A really good setup there from Shayla Meyer. Sometimes those pins will float a little bit, which will create a seam. She did a good job of holding her middle in Ratliff to seal that up.
Off the take, another ace for Washington. Sometimes better lucky than good.
Just has that cross-court one-to-one serve right now. It's flat, clean, just catches the tape, and you'll take it.
Any which way will do. 3-0 Rebels. And that one a little too close to the tape that time.
High risk, high reward.
And a feeling will come on to serve for Florida State. Fono the set, Meyer the push across and scores with it. An immediate side out for Ole Miss.
Really good handwork there from Meyer as she just swipes it off of Koenig's outside hand.
Summer Daniel, the senior from Tipton, Iowa. Good serve, tough take. Big swing and overpass, pushed back by Lewis, kept alive. Middleton, back row, Washington. That one's deep. No touch, point Seminoles.
And that's what we saw, John, early in set one, is just some hitting errors from Ole Miss. They're doing a really good job of getting those defensive balls up and getting good looks on it. Just a little missed opportunity here or there.
Koenig. Washington out of the back, blocked. Corey Lewis with that incredible reach, able to get up alongside Taylor Head and push it back.
Really good read there from Taylor Head, as she knew Washington was somebody that they're going to run either on that D ball, which is slightly behind the setter, or on that BIC. So just really good discipline from her.
Washington out of the back. Feeling to Lewis. And Florida State, when they work the middle, they are tremendous.
Firing.
Go ahead, Shannon.
No, just firing on all cylinders. You've seen a couple of them where they haven't really clicked and gelled on that nice seamless connection, but it just seems as Kira's over the last, end of the set one into set two, that connection between Lewis and her setters are really firing on all cylinders.
Moki Hanatufono with the reverse dunk for the setter dump. Gets the point.
Calling her own number.
Koenig out of the back. Dufono. Meyer pushed across. Nearly got it. Meyer again. Cross court kept alive. And blocked at the net. Stays on the Ole Miss side. And point Florida State.
Something that Florida State does that not a lot of teams do is they'll have 2 hitters coming out of the back row. So their libero, Emery Dupes, will only play typically 3 rotations back there. So you'll have both Taylor Head and Audrey Koenig as 2 offensive options back there.
Good pass leads to the middle run for Burgach. She scores 6-5 Ole Miss.
Burgach getting in on the action. Hasn't had a whole ton of opportunities, 4 total attempts, 3 kills, but hitting a very high efficiency at 750.
That's robust. Meyer off the tape, nearly got it. Played a free ball across. Chance for Ole Miss. Washington, big swing. Got another. 5th kill for Nia Washington.
I really love the set selection there. You see Lewis jumping with Burgach. It's a really good read to see that. That is just setting up Nia Washington for a lot of success out there.
Henke couldn't get it to go. To the middle, Burgach again. And both teams, when they are able to use the middle, score at a very high clip.
Very well done. If you can have a setter who holds the opposing side's middle, you can do a lot of damage. And what Ole Miss is running over and over and over until they stop them, if they can, is that 3, go, 8, and Bick. And whoever is able to shoot that gap of being able to find that seam, that is where they are taking Tufono, putting the ball in her hands, quite literally. She's able to see that vision and find that hitter with a hot hand.
Well, you started to mention it a little bit, but Chris Poole talked about how he's had to kind of tinker with the lineup and do some unconventional things. He didn't feel like they had enough experience at their right front. So they're doing some different things, and it makes for some interesting substitution patterns.
Yeah, so typically when you're in a 6-2, means your 2 setters are setting out of the back row. Therefore, you have 3 hitters in the front row at all times. 3 plus 3 is your 6. Well, not only are they running that 6-2, but they're not having their right side sub in for their setters. So their setters are actually going in for their middles, and you're having multiple players play in that back row, especially since you can have a right side and an outside, because your right side would usually come out for your setters. Now your right sides are able to play all the way around, which gives you the opportunity to have more than just that 1 hitter out of the back row.
There was a lift called on Burgach and a big protest from Ole Miss. It didn't look like it to me, Shannon.
Yeah, and the definition of the rule is if you are throwing or carrying that ball. So if you're going to throw, some schools refer to it as a grandma throw, just because you're just, trying to throw it down. But if your hand doesn't come off the ball and you follow through with it, sometimes you're going to have some officials be pretty tight on that specific call.
FSU takes the lead 9-8, and there's Burgach. That wasn't a lift.
What a great choice to set that. It's almost like a 0 tempo. So we call it a 1 tempo or a 2 tempo. A 1 tempo is when you're going pretty fast and your middle's on their 3-step route or on their 3rd step when the ball is in the setter's hands. That one was a 0 tempo. So therefore, Burgach was in the air when Tufono had that ball.
And Ole Miss with a good response, regaining the lead at 10-9. Set 1 went pretty much the same way, back and forth. Back row into the net, point Ole Miss.
And this is where they have all their hitters. So at her disposal, Lauren Robertson could find 5 of these hitters, 3 in the front row. You can run a D-ball with Taylor Head, or you could run Koenig on that Bick.
Deep for Koenig, outside. was in the antenna, I believe is the call. Makes it 12-9 Ole Miss. Timeout Florida State as the Rebels trying to take control here in set 2.
It means a little bit more for outside hitter Shayla Meyer in playing in this tournament today in Nebraska. She is a Superior, Nebraska native, just about 3 hours southwest of Omaha. Population just under 2,000. Her mom, dad, and 3 sisters all played volleyball or were a thrower at Nebraska. I asked Shayla, hey, why not her? She said she never felt pressured to go to Nebraska, and she visited Ole Miss and knew it was home from the moment she stepped on campus. Her whole family is here to see her play, and she's excited to play in this environment just because of how much she knows the state embraces volleyball.
Thank you very much, Anna. Back to action here in set number 2. Ole Miss with a 3-point lead. This will be Washington. Goes through the block.
Just another really good job there from Nia Washington, and just using that block, seeing that outside hand, and just kind of having that will to work through it.
Down the line, and in the net, the call on Ole Miss. 3-point to Florida State.
And that's a big side out for Florida State, as just nothing seems to be going their way over the last few points. So to be able to get a quick side out is something that if you're Coach Poole, you like to see.
And Marie Dupes, who missed 18 months with injuries, back out there. One hand set. And across the line, over the center line. That's another error for Ole Miss. Back-to-back unforced errors for the Rebels. And the lead is down to 2.
Take advantage of it if you're a Florida State fan. Any way you can get it, just to try to tighten this match up.
Tufono to the middle. Ratliff puts it away and ends the streak of mistakes. 14-11 Ole Miss. Ratliff, the daughter of former NBA star Theo Ratliff, who had 2,000 blocks in his 16-year NBA career. Hammerman the serve. Big swing from Koenig. Good dig out of the back by Meyer. Back row, Ammerman. Robertson was there. Filimawa couldn't get it. Point Rebels.
I like in this rotation with Ammerman swinging, you're also able to use her out of the back row. So when you only have 2 hitters back there, you have one more option for the Rebels.
This was one of the things that Chris Poole told us. They can get stuck in rotations where they're unable to generate kills, and teams can go on runs. We'll see if Ole Miss can take advantage. That's a good swing to get them out of that rotation for Florida State. 15-12 Ole Miss.
Ophelia Maua getting her 4th kill here of the match. Again, we're seeing both sides doing a really good job of having that vision and using the block.
Washington blocked, stays on the Ole Miss side. Washington again, goes right through it, puts it away.
She approaches so hard in, and you think she's going cross court. So if you're that block, you're coming in with her. You see she steps in there. And as soon as she takes that step in with her, she's just working that outside hand with that crossbody swing.
Good serve from Washington. And she's got another ace. Nia Washington getting it done every which way.
That 1-to-1, so she's back in zone 1 and serving across the court to Florida State zone 1. Just a really hard ball to track down and read.
The 5-point lead at the end of set 1, 25-20 for FSU, was the largest lead for either side. And now Ole Miss leading by 5 in the second at 17-12.
It's great volleyball. I mean, so far.
It's been tight, well contested, just what you'd want to see in an NCAA tournament match.
Absolutely, and I love it when you can watch the athletes where you're going to have your margin of error. You're going to have your ball handling errors, whether it be serving aces or, you know, you got the throw call here or there. But for the large part of the match so far, you can definitively see what each team is trying to attack, whether it is with their routes that they're running offensively, whether it's who they're targeting from the service line. You can just see that both teams have coming in today and they're trying to play their best volleyball right now, but they're doing it at a very high level of IQ.
Florida State, number 21 team in the country. One of 5 teams out of the ACC in the top 25 this season. Of course, number 1 Pitt, number 4 Louisville, number 5 Stanford, SMU number 10, and then Florida State at 21. North Carolina was receiving votes in the last poll, just outside the top 25. They were number 26. Chris Poole, number 2 in active career wins, and 939, looking for 940 here today. He has been at it a long time. Spent 14 seasons as the head coach at Arkansas from '94 to '07, and now in his 17th season at Florida State. Koenig touched on the way through to the middle. Ratliff got it. It's a 6-point lead for Ole Miss.
Well done from the Rebels, and it all started out with Shayla Meyer getting that block touch, slowing that ball down, allowed for that nice easy touch from Cammie Neeson, which then sets up Sasha Ratliff to just thread the needle to finish.
3-0 scoring run for the Rebels, all served by Washington. Pushed back across. Reset for Florida State. Out wide for Head. Kept up by Washington. Near side Meyer. Tried to go through the block. Neeson was there. They'll set Meyer again. Was it touched? No. Ole Miss wanted the touch call. They don't get it. Let's see if the green challenge card comes out.
I'm surprised that it's not.
We have not had a challenge in this match yet.
And Coach was pretty successful in that Texas match, where there was some tight touch calls that she was pretty quick to go to the green card if her athletes thought that they had that touch. So I'm surprised to see it.
Dufono sets. Ratliff scores.
Doesn't matter now.
19-13. Rebels lead it. Second set.
It's really good discipline. Held the block to the set, and if you're Florida State, when you only have the 2 hitters out there, you have to make sure that you're communicating on who has the middle on the crossing pattern and who's going to stay home with your setters. So on that one, your outside should go with that slide, and then your middle would want to stay with Tufono.
Koenig finally gets going here in the second. Have not been able to use her very much. Just 2 kills in the first set. Has 2 kills now in the second. Meyer with the push. Got the point.
Talked about both teams, you know, Florida State early and all the pieces that they have competing at a very high level in Audrey Koenig as well as Corey Lewis. But Ole Miss is they are coming in with a very solid game plan, and more impressively is how well they are being efficient with it.
Down the line, missed it wide. Point Ole Miss. They're the first to 20, and they now have 21, leading by 7 here in the second, threatening to run away with the second. Serve from Tufono. To the middle, Bergach. It was a good dig on the back end by Phelan. Meyer off the block. Shayla Meyer has raised the level back in her home state.
And while that rally ends in a kill from her, what I'm the most impressed with Ole Miss is just the opportunity to get hands on the ball of Florida State's offense, which is allowing them to get really good defensive touches for some dig and transition. But if you're Corey Lewis, you're trying to get her involved way more, because it's going to be very hard to find a hand to slow that down.
Seems like she has not seen enough of the ball, even though she has 11 attempts here in the second set. Washington rolls it over. Chance for Florida State. Lewis is blocked. Phelan again, blocked. Second ball attack, kept up. Ammerman sent it deep, and a free ball back across. To the middle, Burgach got it! The connection between Tufono and her two middles has been magnificent.
Talk about both teams being battle tested within their conferences. Ole Miss got tested with Texas, that 5-set match, and Texas ran their middles. And so what a really good learning opportunity for Ole Miss.
23-15. Meyer the serve. Lewis got it. Corey Lewis with her 8th kill, a match high. Her team still down 7 here in the second. Now, perhaps the challenge card is going to come out, but Bree Henry sticks it back in the table. Thought better of it. Getting advice from one of her assistants, who's very familiar with this building, by the way. Savannah Rennie played 2 seasons at Marquette, has seen plenty of DJ Sokol Arena.
And you only get 2 of them coming in, so a little bit different than in years past. You get 2 challenges, and if you're successful, it's almost if you have unlimited amount of challenges. So it's making sure that you're trusting your bench of when to pull the card and when not to.
Set point for the Rebels. What a response for Ole Miss here in the second. Neeson the serve. Kept alive by Meyer. Washington to finish the second. Match level, 1 set apiece.
Nia Washington has almost been unstoppable with that crossbody shot. What a tremendous response from the Rebels.
Ole Miss outscores Florida State 17-7 down the stretch. They take the second set, and we are all tied up at 1 set apiece. You'd expect nothing less. Well, here we go. Tension convention in Omaha. First 2 split, 1 apiece. And it will be Florida State to serve it first.
We'll see a different middle here for Florida State as they go with the freshman from Estonia,
Johanna Sova. She gets the start here in the third. We're underway. Right to the middle again, and Ratliff scores from the right side. It's 1-0 Ole Miss. They pick up right where they left off.
Not a bad idea from Taylor Head to try to play out that second attempt. Just was not able to get a clean touch on it.
Summer Daniel comes in to serve for the Rebels.
All right, here we go. Watch that pass.
Robertson sets back row. It's kept up. Meyer off the block, kept alive. To the middle, Burgach. What a save by Robertson. Meyer down the line, got it. Just a relentless attack from Ole Miss.
And relentless that is in the Rebels. They are putting Florida State out of system on almost every single rally. It seems as if every touch for Ole Miss, they are putting that setter on the net. And for the Seminoles, they're just really struggling to do so.
Robertson out to the near side, Head, got it. Too much to handle for Daniel. And Florida State on the board here in the third.
And a great response. That right there, what can they do to find a way to get one of those setters, whether it's Robertson or whether it's Phelan, on that net. They have so many hitters at their disposal, but if they're on the run all the time, it's really hard to get clean looks.
Phelan the serve. Back row, Washington, no chance.
Shot the gap is exactly what they did there. They're spreading out their offense, so they have a go route, they have a slide route, which opens up that Bic or that B ball that just has her with no blockers and nobody in sight defensively.
Deep serve, just long. Tufono almost got it.
You know, those are the misses as a coach that you don't get too upset with, because that's what we would call an aggressive miss. You know, if you're going in and you're hitting the bottom of the tape, you know, that first serve, but if you're barely missing it and you're being aggressive with it, those are things that you're okay with.
Meyer hit it off the shoulder of the defender, perhaps unfortunately so. It came back across and ends up a Florida State point.
And taking advantage of anything that comes your way if you're Florida State. Calling her own number on that overpass as Taylor Head gets involved.
Koenig puts it in the net, and if you're Florida State, you cannot afford your best server to do that on her first attempt.
And Koenig only hitting 154 here so far in this matchup. Leading the way is Corey Lewis at 462 and Henke at 400.
Head got blocked on the way through. Tufono out to Washington, couldn't reach it. It's one of the first times in this match that we've seen the timing a little bit off for Ole Miss. They have been just so clean on attack.
They have, and that was a tough ball for Tufono to handle. It's a little bit tighter, and with her being in the back row, all she can do is try to save it out of the net.
And the timing right back on time with that one. Vergach puts it away to make it 5-4.
She's been phenomenal so far in today's matchup, hitting 455. That's her 6th kill. She's really successful on that 3.
Neeson, good serve. Blocked, another block for Ole Miss.
You know, and you don't know if it's Florida State or their setters are maybe telecasting where they're going, because it just seems as if there is a blocker, if not 2, always on Florida State.
Phelan to the near side. And the block went off the antenna. That's point Florida State. 1 point separates the two here in the third. 6-5 Ole Miss in front.
And if you're going to be out of system, like Florida State has been, that's where you need your Filiamawas to come in there and be effective on trying to tool those hands. But when you're off of the net like they have been so much, it's just been a little bit harder for them. So little by little, they're going to want to keep working on their toolkit and their range.
What a finish there. Just a scrambling play. Ratliff somehow finds an open area of the court to score.
Just a missed assignment there from Filiamawas. If you are not a blocker, you are playing off-block defense. So when you're playing off-block defense and you're on the 10-foot line, any tips and rules, that's your assignment.
Washington, wow! The thunder of that swing from Nia Washington could be heard all the way back in Oxford.
Just making it so hard for the Seminoles, because they have 3 hitters, you know, at all levels coming at them, because every ball right here, even that in a defensive transition, they are getting hitters on the net. And so it is just really difficult for Florida State, because they're able to get hands on almost every ball.
Blocked again! And the Ole Miss fans waving their pom-poms behind us as the Rebels lead at 9-5.
Whoever the blocking coach, the scouting coach for the Rebels, they've done their job so far here in preparing their athletes to come to Omaha, because they are very well trained and they are very disciplined in their blocking assignments.
Another one. Henke In the net, called on Ole Miss. That'll break up the scoring run of 3-0 for the Rebels. Makes it 9-6. Now Emery Dupes will go back to serve. Dupes, who missed all of last season with an injury. You see the big brace on the right leg. 13 aces on the season. Serves it into the net, and that has been the bugaboo for Florida State. They get a side out, and then a serving error breaks the run.
We talked about that would be a service error that you're not too pleased with if you were a coach. That's what we would call not an aggressive miss.
Washington serve. Back row head. Kept up by Middleton. A dig from Dupes. Koenig tip. Tufono to the middle. Got it! It's Ratliff again!
Tufono not only connected well with Ratliff, but in the process of doing so, was pulling up her sleeves, pulling a trick out of her sleeves. You know, I love being able to watch setters from Hawaii. I think they just play with such an edge, and they just have such athleticism in the ball control. And so far, Mokiahana Tufono has just really come to play here.
Blocked but out of bounds. Florida State gets the point. That's the deficit to 4.
Fili Maua has done a nice job of scoring on out of system. I mean, that's somebody for the Seminoles that they've been able to rely on as she works on the outside of that edge.
An ace. Fili Maua with a kill, and then follows it up with an ace to draw her team within 3.
No, John, it just takes one of you, little by little, and you need somebody to lead the way, to start just finding a way to punch back.
It's long, but got a touch. Point Ole Miss. You talk about the athleticism of Fili Maua. We look at the replay. There's the touch. She has 2 brothers who played college football. Offensive and defensive linemen. And that serve is long. 12-9, Ole Miss in front here in the third. We're split 1 apiece.
And this third set is big. You know, if you're either team, to go up 2 sets to 1 before the intermission, it gives you a little bit of flexibility to stay aggressive with what you're doing, your game plan, keep your foot on the gas.
Kind of feeling. Bergach got it.
Gotch had the 4 hands on her, but Lewis was just a little bit too far away from the net. As you see, she's still working her way out to her, which allows Bergach to use those hands to her advantage.
The 2 middles for Ole Miss, 17 kills on 25 swings with just 1 attack error. The efficiency, high level. And there's Corey Lewis answering from the other middle.
If you don't have quality serve and pass, just like Coach talked about prior to starting this set, if you don't have aggressive servers that are holding their offense at bay, and you don't have a good first contact in your serve receive, you can't do that.
Little tangle on the Ole Miss side. Corey Lewis. Neeson was there. Washington out of the back row, scores again. Overruled. The linesman said in, but on the far side it was called out. A little confusion for your announcing team here.
I think you had 1 line judge that called it out and 1 that was calling it in. So you have 1 on the sideline calling their sideline out while the other one's calling it in. So I think it's just based off of whose sideline it is to be able to make that call.
Kept up, free ball over. Chance for Florida State to get within 1, but Lewis is blocked. The block for Ole Miss has shown up tonight.
Vision. You talk about your hands, you talk about being low and over, but a really well done job by Bergach, as Lewis was showing she was swinging to zone 1. So just seeing that she is going in that way, she was able to just dive those hands in and take away that angle.
Out for Washington, kept up by Koenig. Head roll shot. Tufono to the middle, pushed over. Henke is blocked. It's a block party in Omaha.
Just unbelievable discipline, and you can see them celebrating as their mission is on display.
Ole Miss has brought the roof to DJ Sokol Arena, and they hold the lead here in the third, 15-11. A record-setting performance for Sasha Ratliff of Ole Miss. 5th block tonight. She's now the career blocks leader in Ole Miss history with 503, a record that has stood since 1996. Congratulations, Sasha Ratliff, now the all-time leader in blocks, the Ole Miss Rebels.
Holding records like her father.
Some other scores from around the country. Loyola Chicago pulls the upset over BYU, winning in a sweep. Minnesota has defeated Western Kentucky 3-1. Missouri sweeps Texas State 3-0. And USC also a sweep over UT Arlington. Back to action here in Omaha, where it will not be a sweep. Split the first 2 sets. Ole Miss leading 15-12 now after the Florida State kill.
Good response there from the Seminoles. I really like the pace that Phelan put out to the pin on that ball. And they're going to want to do that a little bit more efficiently and effectively as they're trying to get the blockers for Ole Miss guessing.
Washington off the block. Lewis got it. And that is what Chris Poole talked about with our Anna Bellinghausen. They needed the block to step up so they could transition to offense. That's what he's talking about right there.
Exactly. You can't get your middles involved like that if you are not holding your own.
2-point deficit for the Seminoles. And an ace. And guess who? Taylor Head. She's served out the final 6 points of the first set. Comes up with a big ace right there.
One that transferred here to the Florida State Seminoles, wanting to play beach. And those beach athletes, they have such great ball control and really good hand contact on her serves.
Seminoles not done yet. Big answer. Right back in it, tied at 15.
And what else is going to do that other than serve and pass? Talk about the middles and how effective they've been for Ole Miss, and now you're starting to see the middles for Florida State coming alive. And why is that, John? Because they have aggressive serving and doing a great job passing as well.
And how about Corey Lewis coming through on the defensive end? Florida State in front, 16-15.
It's making a choice. I mean, you're here. It is do or die. The score is 0-0 everywhere in the country. So finding a way to make sure that you're checked in to do your job little by little.
Tight pass. It's another one. Taylor Head is having a career night serving. Timeout. Ole Miss. 5-0 run for Florida State out of the media timeout. For more on Corey Lewis, here's Anna Bellinghausen.
Thanks, John. Well, Lewis is a Tallahassee native, and it was always her dream to play at FSU. In 8th grade, get this, she attended an FSU volleyball camp, and that's when she caught the attention of Coach Poole. So the basketball hoop was down at that camp, and Coach had some of the campers just jump and see how high they could go. Lewis touched 10-3 as an 8th grader. She was also 6'1" at the time, so I'm sure that helped, but still, insane athleticism from her. And later that same year, Lewis committed to FSU, and now was the first-team All-ACC player for her Seminoles and making a huge impact today.
All right, thanks very much, Anna. That was fun to hear Coach talk about his All-ACC performer, Corey Lewis. who has really been the bright spot for the Seminoles tonight.
That she has, getting involved offensively, as she is just somebody that is hard to stop if you're Ole Miss, whether she's running on a 3-ball, whether she's right in front running that one. She's a very dynamic athlete, and so if Florida State can continue to hold serve and put that pressure on Ole Miss, it's going to allow for free balls and down balls, things that they're able to handle so that they're able to use her in defensive transitions.
She just never wanted to go anywhere else. She was a Tallahassee girl. That's what Coach Pools called her. And now here she is, leading her Seminoles in the NCAA tournament. Lewis leading the way with 12 kills, game high.
You love to see it. The hometown kid representing that school, and you love to see it. Somebody who didn't necessarily know that was going to be her path in her future in volleyball, and to come out here and to be able to have such success for her home school is really cool to see.
And it's still Taylor Head delivering from the service line.
She's been the difference, John, both in set 1 and here in set 3. I mean, it doesn't always show in the stat line the fact that she is putting Ole Miss out of system, but that is exactly what she did to seal the deal in set 1 and to go ahead and be the sole reason while the Seminoles are in control here in set 3.
8-0 run for Florida State. Pushed across, kept up. And 4 contacts on the Florida State side. That'll break up the run, and now Ole Miss finds themselves in need of a response after they had looked like they were in firm control of this thing. The serving run from Taylor Head has changed the calculus here in the 3rd. Serve from Neeson. Phelan to the middle. Lewis blocked! A solo block! Sasha Ratliff.
What a fun matchup that is between Ratliff and Lewis. If you have not tuned in to watch this, or if you're just tuning in, stick around to watch these two phenomenal middles just going blow for blow as they work to do anything that they can to get this set 3 win for their team.
And Coach Poole calls timeout after that 8-0 run. A couple of points in a row for Ole Miss. 19-17, Florida State up in the 3rd. Corey Lewis now 12 kills on 20 swings, 400. Her season hit percentage was .427. Good enough for 11th in the country. And on the other side, Sasha Ratliff, we just told you, career record for blocks. She set that here tonight, and she has been getting it done on both ends.
I really like watching her play. I like the way she plays. She has that composure. She has that grit. She does it both defensively, as you see there with the big seal, as well as offensively. She definitely gets involved, and I just keeps herself very even-keeled while doing so.
She was All SEC in 2022, preseason All SEC in 2023. And she has been just tremendous here tonight. 9 kills, no attack errors, and 6 blocks for Ratliff.
Now, being a middle, it's so tough to do. So often a match, when you're calling a match, it's usually the glorified 6 rotation outside or that setter that is getting a lot of the attention. So it's a lot of fun to be able to have both middles performing at this high of a level, not only performing at this high of a level, but making such a tremendous impact.
Big point here for Ole Miss, trailing by 2. Blocked again. The defense for Ole Miss. Wow.
And being down 16-19, slowly making their way back now at 18-19, not yet in the red zone. There's still a lot of game left, John.
Another good serve. Tough take from Koenig. Shirley Mawa gets it back to her side.
She has made a living here so far today on tooling that block, whether it be the outside edges or just working high and off those hands where it's just deflecting too far for that defense to get a hand on.
Corey Lewis out of the match right now. Kelsey Perry is checked in the front for the Seminoles. Hammerman, cross-court swing, kept up. Koenig rolls it over. Tufono to the middle, got it. Ratliff again. And you can see, Shannon, with Lewis out of the match, they go right to the middle.
And it's a hard ball to find her there, because that would be a ball that we call medium system. So you see Tufono's on the 10-foot line. So she's not fully out of system, and she's not fully in system being on the net. So that medium system ball where you're still able to run your middles is a really, really hard thing to do, and a really high efficiency if you're able to do it.
Filimawa couldn't get it through the block. Koenig saved it, pushed over. Washington got it! Tied at 20.
Nia Washington snuck that ball in on the outside edge of that block. Caught Audrey Koenig kind of pinched in a little bit, left too much of that sideline open for Washington to work with.
Filimawa, it's blocked, kept alive. Washington, big swing into the block. Tufono to the middle. It hit the tape and went out of bounds. No touch is the call. Point Florida State.
And this will be interesting, because if I'm Ole Miss, I'm probably not going to necessarily defensively worry too much about Kelsey Perry, and what I'm going to try to do is do everything that I can to attack the middle of the court, whether it's the middle of the court with your middles, or do anything that you can with your pins to attack that middle seam.
And Dupes gives one back. Just huge missed serve.
Yeah, which is the second missed serve like that for her, just in the belly of the net. Bad timing there for Florida State.
And now Washington, who's been serving tough all night. Koenig, Washington the dig. Re-rack Tufono, Meyer uses it and gets it to go.
So smart and so much trust there from Ole Miss as Myers recycles that play. She has two hands, four hands up on her. She recycles the first one, gets the second one where she attacks Perry, and that's exactly what I would do if I was Ole Miss. You know, Lewis does a phenomenal job. Perry is another phenomenal athlete, but right now she's not somebody that's fully impacting the game. So whether you're able to get your middles involved on her or whether your pins are going after her, you have to find a way to take advantage of Lewis being on the sidelines.
Have to break it up, and the match is tied at 22 here in the third.
That's definitely a point to the FSU coaching staff, as like you talked about, being stuck in those serving rotations that you don't want to be in. If you're able to get that quick side out off of a ball handling error, that's something you definitely want to take advantage of.
And reaching over the net, going to be called on Ole Miss. I believe it was Meyer who got tagged with it.
Just getting a little too anxious. You have to understand that both those setters are back row, so you got to almost let them take it over, let them get the violation.
But another service error for Florida State, tied at 23. This time, Filimawa.
It doesn't surprise me in the red zone here in set 3 that it's 23-23. You got to win by 2. And what is it going to be? Is it going to be Ole Miss seal and deal 2-0, or are we going to see 24-24?
Koenig, big by Washington, tight to the net. Head, got it. Taylor Head, she's been money from the service line, scores a big point there and gives set point to the Seminoles here in the third.
Taking advantage of the libero being off for that service rotation and having a lot of sideline to work with. Just a very heads-up disciplined play by Taylor Head.
And now timeout Ole Miss. This could be the biggest point of the match right here. Florida State can take control and win set 3, or Ole Miss can put the pressure on and send it to extra points in the third.
Coach talked about making sure they're just staying in the moment. And both teams have done a phenomenal job throughout the whole contest in staying ready and being resilient point for point. And so what you want to see if you're Ole Miss is to just allow yourself to take a deep breath. It starts out with one solid pass. One solid pass. And if you're Florida State, you want to stay aggressive behind that service line. You got Corey Lewis back into the match. So you've got a pretty good front line of blockers to help hold that serve, as well as get a hand on that ball to slow Ole Miss down offensively. So we'll see who's ready.
Meyer off the block, stays on the Ole Miss side. Meyer again, touched on the way through. Phelan, near side, head, blocked out of bounds. Florida State takes the third. What a recovery for the Seminoles.
Staying resilient is exactly what Florida State did in set 3. And not only was it finished by Taylor Head, but you also have to give a big credit to her getting that 8-0 service run to get them back in the match.
Seminoles, Rebels, fourth set. Good second set, really good start to the third. Florida State found something toward the end of that set. Once Taylor Head got to the service line and Corey Lewis got going, that looked like the Florida State volleyball we're used to seeing.
Taylor Head for me is the difference, to be honest with you. While Corey Lewis is leading the way with 12 kills and hitting 400, you have Taylor Head right behind her at 10 kills, hitting 250, but it's not what is in the stat line for me that she is doing for Florida State. What she is doing for Florida State in putting pressure at the right times for them, as well as just, serve, receive, digging. We talk about those 6 rotation athletes that they're in there the whole game. And of course, she starts out, their first point here in set 4. We talked a lot about Audrey Koenig, we talked about Corey Lewis, but Taylor Head and the experience that she's had at Arkansas, just a phenomenal player, has range. She's able to be dynamic in the back row and in the front row. For me, so far, she's been the difference maker.
Washington. Head. Got it. Taylor Head. This is the Taylor Head game for Florida State.
It's so fun as an athlete when you're playing with confidence. It's like you're playing with house money. Everything that she touches right now is turning into gold.
A double-double in 9 of the last 15 coming into the tournament. That serve is long and out. Freebie for Ole Miss.
Talked about Audrey Koenig having a little bit of that hybrid serve. So she tosses it as if it's a top spin. But when you're hitting a top spin, you typically want to break that wrist and create that spin on the top of the ball. But when she contacts that ball, she has like a flat, big open hand. So sometimes you'll get kind of a weird contact that might lend some success, but then sometimes you're going to catch it where you're catching that ball going too far out of bounds.
Tip shot scores for Ole Miss. They take a 3-2 lead here in the fourth.
If you're Ole Miss, you hope what you've done so far in today's matchup, doesn't put you on pause for what has been working so well for you. Whether it be serve and pass, whether it be offensive schemes that they've done, blocking. We talked so much about that today. Their staff came in prepared, and you just hope that just that set 1 and that set 3, they were right there in both of those sets. You hope that it doesn't deter them for staying on the gas and keep continuing what's been working so well for them.
Shayla Meyer scores. Makes it 4-3.
Good connection. Same thing. We talk about that 3-go ball.
Bergach, rather.
Just scoring. So now you're going to have Tufono rotate to the back row, which will then bring in Emma Ammerman, which gives her 3 options in the front row and 1 in the back for Nia Washington.
Took that one off the chest at Tufono. Kept it up. Run for Corey Lewis, and she finishes it off. Tied at 4. 13th kill for Corey Lewis.
There's really no way to defend this, to be honest with you. The only way you defend it is you have to get the setter off of the net. If you're able to get the setter off of the net, which Ole Miss has done pretty well so far, then that's how you defend it. But if at any moment Florida State has their setter on the net and Corey Lewis in the front row, it's extremely difficult to stop.
Gets across and scores. Hammerman. Back and forth here to start the 4th set. 5-4 Ole Miss in front.
Just putting a nice little touch on the ball. And if she doesn't score there, she's putting them out of system. That's another way you can get to defend those middles, whether it be Ratliff, Burgach, or Corey Lewis. Is if you can't score, put the ball on the setter. And there's no way that the ball is going to go in the middle's hands.
An overpass on the serve receive, punished by Nia Washington. First 2-point lead either way. Ole Miss leads at 6-4. Big swing out of the back is long for head. Now 7-4 Ole Miss with Meyer serving.
And this is the rotation for Florida State, that they do have multiple hitters out of the back row. So you have 3 in the front, 2 out of the back. There's a lot of seams that offense can open up.
And an early timeout used.
I don't mind it. You know, you don't want necessarily to have one turn into too many.
4th set. Game on the line for Ole Miss. They lead it 7-4. Takes the 3rd to take a 2-1 lead, but it's Ole Miss leading by 3 here in the 4th. And this one's starting to look like it's got 5 sets written all over it, Shannon.
I think you're right. I think both teams have really come to play here in Omaha and are really playing some phenomenal volleyball.
Another back row attack sent long by Florida State.
They haven't ran that, as much as I talk about how many options they have back there, they haven't been super productive with it.
A 4-0 scoring run for the Rebels. Blocked on the way through. Tufono to the middle. And once again, scoring from the middle. This time it's Burgach.
As the coaching staff for Ole Miss clapping away at that, as it was very well executed with the block touch that sets up that defensive transition kill for Burgach.
Both middles for Ole Miss now double-digit kills. Good serve from Meyer. Pushed out to the pin. Filimawa is blocked again.
Filimawa, who's been so successful with her tools. But when you have 3 blockers shifting over there, you see them all 3 doing a phenomenal job of sealing that net up.
Blocks 12-3 in favor of Ole Miss. Nice dig on the back end by Neeson. Washington, the dig Koenig. Filimawa pushed it off the block. Well done.
If you're Ammerman, it's not about how high you are, as that matchup between her and Filimawa. And she's got a little bit more size over her, 6'3" versus 6'1". But what Filimawa is doing is just phenomenal in the execution of just taking that hand and swiping it off of her head.
Neeson awkward on the serve receive. That's an ace. Cuts the lead to 4 at 10-6. Good serve by Emery Dupes, who had a ton of trouble in the second from behind the line. Free ball across, chance for Ole Miss. Tufono, Washington never got it across. Tried to be really vertical with that one and kept it on our own side.
Yeah, I like that call. It would have been there. I think that set died just a little bit in front of Washington, because if it would have connected, she would have had that wide open look.
10-7, timeout on the floor. Florida State has responded to the scoring run by Ole Miss with a 3-0 run of their own. Nia Washington, how about her tonight? 12 kills. Gone to her a ton, 34 swings already, but the elevation that she gets is just so impressive at 5'10".
And the way she does it, she plays fearless. Everything that she does, she is attacking full throttle, whether you go after it there offensively, whether it's behind the service line, as she's attacking.
Ranked as high as 5th, the highest ranking in school history. That'll be a good one. That's coming up next here on ESPN Plus for Omaha, but still plenty of business to attend to here between Ole Miss and Florida State. Tied at 17 in the 4th. Florida State leading 2-1. And Nebraska's own Shayla Meyer sends it away. Point Seminoles.
Net violation. If you're Ole Miss, this is the rotation. You have Taylor Head still in the back row. She's not going to be the server anytime soon. They still have to rotate a few, and you also have Corey Lewis on the sideline. So, you know, going point for point and siding out is not something that Ole Miss wants to do right now if they want to extend this to a 5th. What they want to do is they want to try to side out and hold serve.
Florida State back in front by 2 at 19-17. Emery Dupes, the libero, serving. To the middle, Perkach, got it. And here it comes. This is what you were talking about, Shannon. They get the side out, they're within a point. Corey Lewis out of the game. The libero, Cammie Neeson, SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year, serves it. Blocked and stayed on the Florida State side. They'll re-rack with Koenig. Great shot down the line. What a finish, Audrey Koenig.
What I've seen so far is Florida State has been coming up with very timely points, whether it be their block that hasn't necessarily separated itself tonight, or whether it be Audrey Koenig, who also hasn't maybe had one of her best matches. When they're needing those things to step up, it's come in at a very, very good time.
Great dig by Dupes. Hammerman the tip. Kept up. Blocked! You talk about forehands, Shannon. I think it was 6 that time.
And Nia Washington was the one that ended up blocking it. So you see 1, 2, 3. She's trying to work that sharp 4-to-4 shot, which is open because Nia Washington is over there blocking. So just really well done.
20-19, Florida State. Using the block, it's Taylor Head again.
No surprise, Taylor Head putting the team on her back. And she has the 2 blockers up, but works that range, works that wrist away, which creates that ball movement to catch the blockers not pressed.
Feeling to serve. Leading by 2. Tight to the net, joust 1. Florida State keeps it alive. Head, the push. Tufona the set for Ole Miss. Tipped across, kept up by Lewis. And bumped across. Reset for Ole Miss. Big point right here. Can Washington get it? She does!
Muscling through it, Nia Washington, as the blockers stayed with her, and she still found a way.
Washington to serve. She's got a career-high 5 aces tonight. Serves it into the net. Big, big service error right there.
That is, John. That is a unfortunate timing of that misserve.
And now, the aces leader with 50 on the season. Koenig to serve it. Down the line and in. Ratliff keeps it going. 22-21, 4th set.
And Shayla Meyer, I mean, we haven't talked a whole ton about the Nebraska native, but to set up that slide, you have to be able to pass well. And Shayla Meyer has done a really good job, both on serve receive as well as defensively.
Serve for Daniel, touches the tape. It's an ace! Huge!
And we are in the red zone, dead in the red zone, knotted up at 22-22. She gets the net to play to her favor.
Wow. Daniel again, another low and over serve. It's a tough one. Blocked! Ole Miss takes the lead in the fourth.
The blockers for Ole Miss. They're holding their own. The physicality and Bergach, the discipline. Well done.
2 points away from sending it to the fifth. The Ole Miss Rebels. Corey Lewis ties it at 23.
And you can't just look at Bergach to try to defend the middle. The whole team has to defend her. So there can be no way that that ball is in system for the Seminoles. You have to find a way. If you can't score, you have to make the setter play that first ball.
Serve from head. Bergach got it! Set point Ole Miss!
Beautiful, well-executed slide there from Ole Miss. As you see, the one-footed attack has that seam. She pulls the trigger.
Moki Hanatufono to try and send it to the fifth. Overpassed, out of bounds. We'll go extra points in the fourth. Tied at 24.
The first to two, 0-0, 24-24. As they rotate, the middles are out. New setters. See what Ole Miss comes with out of this service.
Tough take, Washington. And Meyer just has to play a high ball across. Blocked. Hammerman goes cross court, kept up by Koenig. Now back row, Taylor head. Washington diving. It's point Florida State. Match point Seminoles.
Great hustle play there from Nia Washington. But
Robertson the serve. One more point. Meyer, big swing, kept up. Florida State can win it right here. Back row, Taylor head. Kept alive. Ammerman off the block. Florida State reset. Robertson the set. Far side, it's blocked! Tied at 25!
What a huge block there from Meyer as she stays on the right side in that rotation and extends us to extra points.
Incredible scenes here in Omaha. Meyer the ace! It's set point Ole Miss!
Ole Miss has done a phenomenal job staying aggressive behind the service line, which is exactly what you need to do here if you want to extend this into that fifth set.
How poetic would it be for Shayla Meyer? Free ball over. Chance for Ole Miss to the middle. Bergach puts it away. We'll go to a fifth. Incredible.
What a comeback. What a match, John. And good for you and I. We get another set here in Omaha.
Keep yourself planted firmly wherever you may be. 15 points to decide who moves on to the next round of the NCAA. Florida State 4-3. Here we go. This is why we love tournament time. Everything on the line, 5th set for a chance to keep it going for one more day. Florida State will serve first. It's Kenna Phelan. Washington out of the back, blocked, kept up. Meyer, the re-rack. Overpass, tipped, kept alive. Net violation, Florida State. First point of the 5th goes to Ole Miss. This is the first 5-setter in NCAA tournament action on this, the first day.
And I think we're going to see our first challenge of the match here, John, as Florida State disagrees. The net call was called on Florida State, and right away those players had said, no, we think it was Ole Miss, so they'll take a look at it.
Chris Poole spending a challenge early on in this 5th set. Do you like the idea here with just 1 point down?
With the reaction of his team, you know, they were pretty definitive that they were not the ones in the net. So we'll see here on this overpass. And it does look like Shayla Meyer catches.
Looks like it was her finger that caught the net on the way down.
Ole Miss, call will be reversed. Florida State will retain their challenge.
And there you go. Call reversed. So FSU will retain the challenge, and the point goes to the Seminoles instead.
So to your question, yes, I like the choice.
Good call.
Yeah.
Phelan to serve it again. Meyer, off hands, got it. Tied at 1.
Well done by Shayla Meyer. What you don't want to do is hit into the belly of the block. And so she did a really good job of not only hitting high and off the hand, but just really working that high and up, almost hitting flat on top of those blockers' hands to be able to not let a defender get a second opportunity.
Koenig blocked. Meyer, Burgach, rejection.
We talked about Nia Washington playing with a little bit of edge, but we're seeing Shayla Meyer also playing with a little bit of edge as this whole team for Ole Miss is really feeling confident and really feeling some grit and some fight.
It's an ace for Summer Daniel.
The senior from Tipton, Iowa, she has come in that role, a serving specialist, and she's impacted the game.
3-1 Rebels. Every point so important in a 5th set. Burgach got another. 18 kills for Peyton Burgach.
We talked about it. We are all defending the middle. And the middle I am speaking of is Corey Lewis. And who is defending that middle right now? Summer Daniel.
Timeout, Florida State. 4-1 Ole Miss in the 5th. Are we on upset watch in Omaha? Percent of your donation goes directly to cancer research. 5th set in Omaha. It has been a dandy. Ole Miss leading 4-1. Out of the timeout. Can Florida State change the calculus here? Corey Lewis is dug. Meyer, the push off the block. Does it again!
Well executed. And just a phenomenal gutsy set by Tufono. Out of system, but still keeps them in system, which allows the Florida State blockers to not get set up.
5-1 Rebels. Tight pass, one hand set, Lewis. Just enough there to do something with, and Corey Lewis produces a much needed point.
She's somebody that has been a force to be reckoned with. And the servers for Ole Miss have done a really good job of keeping her at bay. So we'll see what their pass is able to do, and we'll see if Florida State can stay aggressive.
Second ball attack to Fono, kept up, pushed across. Bergach will set it for Meyer. Got it! Immediate side out for Ole Miss.
The blockers are your friends at this level. There's so many points and kills that are being attributed to these hitters using their range and using the blocker. And so often players will see those forehands and they'll work around it, but the defense at this level is just too good. So really well done by Shayla Meyer.
Tufono to serve it. Lewis, huge point for Florida State.
Yeah, you can't allow her to get that easy of a look. She's just been so phenomenal in front. You know, she can't run behind the setter, so everything she has to do is in front, as they have the 3 options in the front row. So she's kind of contained to the middle. And even though she's only contained to those 2 sets, she is very efficient.
Lewis blocks the second ball attack. Florida State back to within 2. And when Florida State has gone on big runs throughout this match, it has been Taylor Head at the service line. Timeout, Ole Miss.
Smart choice there by the staff to do anything that they can to continue to keep the momentum, keep the game plan, and keep the fight.
Rebels leading 6-4, taking timeout. And Taylor Head has had one of those nights. 16 kills, 12 digs, 3 service aces. It is another double-double for Taylor Head, who makes it 10 in the last 16. She has done it from everywhere on the floor tonight. She has been outside of Corey Lewis, who has been phenomenal in the middle. Taylor Head has also been carrying the attack.
Yeah, and when you're not coming off of the floor and you're having to multitask, whether you are, you know, trying to slow the Ole Miss offense down blocking wise, offensively trying to work around the Ole Miss block, defensively being stopped to do anything that you can to get the ball on the net for your Florida State offense. I mean, you really have to, you know, take a second to be like, that is, you know, a lot of things, a lot of levels that she is playing at, back row, front row, serving and serve receive. And so there's one thing to do that, juggle it, manage it, but it's another to be as efficient as she has been here today.
Rebels by 2, 5th set. Winner moves on, loser goes home. The serve from Taylor Head, another good one. Tufono, back row, Nia Washington. Tight to the net. Another chance for Ole Miss. Bergach is blocked. Meyer uses the block again. Shayla Meyer down the stretch. Using the block has been money.
She's been phenomenal so far here in set 5 for the Rebels, working that outside edge. But we're going to get a challenge here, so we'll see what it is that Coach Poole wants to take a second look at. And so a reminder, you get 2 green cards. If those green cards were not successful, you would lose them. Both coaches came into this set with both of them, so they don't receive a 3rd one. So we'll hear what they're taking a look at.
I think they're challenging in the net.
Florida State is challenging that there was a net fault by Ole Miss during the play.
So the one thing that you're able to do, it's not just at the end of the rally where the point may have resulted in whether somebody being in the net, in or out. You can also go back, as if you remember, he took one early and was successful, so he'll keep that challenge. But that second one was unsuccessful, so that one he will lose. So he will have one remaining.
Serve from Meyer. To the middle, Corey Lewis. When you need a point. Set up number 8.
Now the double sub for Florida State, as you'll have a new setter in Lauren Robinson and not another right side coming in. Now remember, they subbed their middles in for their setters. So now you'll have Corey Lewis to the sidelines, and you'll have Kelsey Perry in for their middle.
Tufono to Washington. She went across. She stepped over the center line with both feet. That's a point for Florida State on the unforced error.
Ole Miss has been really successful running that 3-go ball, but on this one it was just a little bit too tight for Washington to handle.
Second serve for Robertson. Big swing. Ammerman puts it away. 8-6 Ole Miss.
So in set 5, it is a game to 15, and at 8 points, both teams will switch sides. So on the switch, Ole Miss 8 and Florida State 6.
The Rebels have to feel really good about where they are right now.
Yeah, this is a big point. If you can go up 3 rather than 2, side out, then you're just within 1. So to have that 3-point cushion is a big deal if you're Ole Miss.
Last match for Ole Miss, they had Texas down 14-10 in the 5th, and the Longhorns won the match. Head out of the back row. Tufono sets it. Tipped across Washington, kept up Robertson. Henke. Meyer. Just not enough bodies on the floor, but a tremendous effort by Shayla Meyer. And now 1 point separates the two in the 5th.
Hustle play going all the way into the fans, trying to help her out and protect her. Unlucky play there for the Rebels.
Dupes, the serve. Good set to Ratliff, and she scores.
I am a huge fan of Tufono. She's
been good.
She's been so good. You talk about how good these middles and how good the outsides are performing. You don't do that if you don't have a quality setter that's putting you in a good position to score.
Hammerman the serve. Koenig looking for the back line. Didn't get the touch. It's point Rebels. They're first to 10.
And John, this is another big point here. 5 points away from sealing the deal. If you can get to an 11-7 mark, that's a much better cushion if you're Ole Miss.
And timeout called by Florida State. We have already had one big upset today. 8th-seeded BYU was swept by Loyola Chicago in the first match of the tournament. We've got one brewing here in Omaha with Ole Miss trying to knock out the 7-seed Florida State.
Both teams here have just been phenomenal on executing really great game plans.
And Peyton Bergach, how about 18 kills on 29 swings for the middle from Ole Miss.
Getting involved everywhere. She's been really effective in front. She's also been really effective on the slide play as well. Just a really good connection that she has with Tufono. And just
filling up the stat sheet for sure. And Shannon, we've talked about this a lot throughout the match, but Florida State is in that rotation where Corey Lewis is off the floor, Perry's in the middle. This is not ideal for Florida State at this point in the match, down 10-7.
Yeah, so they have 2 full rotations, about a rotation and a half that they have Corey Lewis on the sideline. So if you're Ole Miss, you want to hold serve.
Point Florida State on the net serve.
So now 1 rotation away, if you're Florida State, from getting Corey Lewis back in the match, who has 20 kills, 20 as a middle, hitting .485 with 33 total attempts. That's just phenomenal.
Fili Maua. Ratliff.
I like the way Ole Miss is playing. Both teams we talked about showing up here today in Omaha, but Ole Miss is just, they're just playing some really disciplined volleyball.
3-point lead for the Rebels. Nia Washington to serve it. Tough one for Koenig. Meyer off the block, kept up. Head blocked. 3 away for Ole Miss.
That triple block showing up again for Ole Miss as they try to go against Tufono. She did a phenomenal job of being low and over.
Head down the line, got it. Huge point for Florida State.
And huge rotations coming up here for Florida State as they have both Taylor Head and Corey Lewis. And oh, by the way, Audrey Koenig as well. So if you are Florida State, you are trying to go on a run.
Phelan serve, it's an ace! Florida State not done yet.
And I love the call here from Coach Henry, as I would exactly do the same thing. And anytime you feel a little bit of momentum, you have to stop it. So really smart play, because you don't want to wait too long to call that timeout. As the 12-10, you're feeling pretty good. But if you get a 1-point game here, that drastically changes things.
Florida State, the 7 seed. You see the aces, pretty even. Seminoles, 6th place team in the ACC this season. Ole Miss, 8th place in the SEC. 2 top leagues. Both teams have faced stiff competition all season long, and they have battled point for point here in Omaha.
Iron sharpens iron, John, and that's exactly what you're seeing here. Both conferences are battle tested. These teams are coming here not being surprised by having a tough opponent across the net that is going to go blow for blow, stay resilient, stay in these long rallies, and you just love to see it.
It has been tremendous. What a volleyball match. 3 points for Ole Miss, 5 for Florida State. That's all that's left, potentially, in your season. Kenna Phelan, huge serve. Florida State trailing by 2. Overpassed. Reset for Tufono. Ratliff again. It's blocked. Point Florida State! We may get a challenge. Ole Miss thought they had kept it up.
And this will be the first for the Rebels, as they have not challenged any of the calls.
So in this case, if the challenge from Ole Miss is successful, it's a replay and no point awarded.
That is correct, because the ball was blown dead
And it looks
by
like
the
it hits
official.
the floor.
So it would essentially be an inadvertent whistle. So therefore, if it would have to show, like you said, John, definitive proof that there is any part of that shoe underneath the ball.
Looks like it's floor and shoe kind of simultaneously right there.
Or is it shoe floor?
Either way, it wouldn't matter.
Well, if it goes floor shoe, then the ball's down. But if it goes, well, no, you're right. But if it looks like it's shoe, you know, but then it's like, is that an inadvertent whistle? You know, if you blew it dead before it was actually down.
Call confirmed. Florida State back to within 1.
Big point here.
but a long wait for Phelan on this serve. Now play stopped. A little bit longer of a wait for Kenna Phelan. Meyer blocked. Bufono reset. Meyer again. Popped up in the air. Dupes with the save. What a play! Ratliff cross court. Dug out by Phelan. In the net. We're tied at 12.
Everybody's getting involved in the action as you see the fans again trying to stay in the play. Everybody's safe though here. Tremendous effort there from Dupes.
12 all, fifth set. Meyer off the block. Dupes the bump set. Head off the hands. Re-rack to Fono. Meyer, high swing, got it!
Really good display of defense from both sides of the floor, not only from the backcourt, but also the blockers. A really good flat set out there to the outside, and Shayla Meyer to get the tool kill.
Is your heart pounding yet?
It is.
13-12 Ole Miss. Corey Lewis, overpassed, out of bounds. No, it's in! It's in, they let it go! Match point Ole Miss!
How do you defend Corey Lewis? You do it with a free ball kill.
To move on. Lewis, got it! Seminoles alive for one more point.
Well done by the Seminoles to be able to manage that serve, get your setter somewhat on the net to find Corey Lewis. And if you're Ole Miss, you know exactly who's going to get the ball. So you have the opportunity right here to get the first ball kill.
Ella Gaona serves it up. There it is! Peyton Burgach sends Ole Miss to the second round. For the first time in school history, the Ole Miss Rebels have won a match at the NCAA volleyball tournament.
Hats off to both teams. Hats off to Seminoles on an incredible season and a really great match here today in Omaha. But for Ole Miss,